Hey everyone, Matt here from Dr. Running, and today we're going to do a triple review talking about the Nike Pegasus lineup. As with actually all their shoes, or now at least their training shoes, they're expanding up into a series of three. A lighter weight shoe, the more standard one, and a premium version. In the Pegasus lineup, you've got the Pegasus Plus, the Pegasus 41 currently, and now the Pegasus Premium. All of these have their different places, be it a lightweight training shoe, a more standard training shoe, and this premium max stack height training shoe. I don't even know what to call it, premium. We're going to spend a little extra time talking about the premium, but the overall purpose is to compare the three of these and help you figure out if one or two might work better for you and which one may not work for you on that standard front. So we're going to start with specs as always. So in my size 10 is how I took all these things. The Pegasus Plus is coming in at 8.8 ounces or about 250 grams in my size 10. The Pegasus 41 is coming in at 10.5 ounces or 298 grams in my size 10. And the Pegasus Premium is the heaviest one, coming in at 11.6 ounces or 330 grams in my size 10. Stack height wise, Pegasus Plus is the lowest stack height, or 34 millimeters in the heel, 24 in the forefoot for a 10 millimeter drop, and all these have a 10 millimeter drop, although they may not feel like it, and I'll talk about that. Peg 41 is 37 in the heel, 27 in the forefoot, and the Pegasus Premium is the tallest one at 45, a maximal 45, and 35 in the forefoot. So very tall here, a little bit more standard up front. So let's talk about differences and purposes with these shoes and see if I can balance this the whole time without these shoes falling, which is probably going to happen. So Pegasus Plus, we're going to start with. This is the lightweight trainer of all three of these. It's got a full-length ZoomX midsole, which makes it the softest of all of these things. It is really meant to be kind of a do-it-all shoe, lightweight trainer, maybe a little bit faster option. I will say personally, as someone who has some stability needs, this is not a stable shoe. All of these are neutral, but the Pegasus Plus is probably the least stable and the softest of all of these. I didn't feel like that kind of traditional bouncy ZoomX. I just felt like it was really soft. It can handle workouts. So if you're someone that wants something that can do a little bit of everything and it's a little bit lighter, the Pegasus Plus is the best option here, especially if you have neutral mechanics. Very soft ride. I did not feel the 10 millimeter drop because the heel compresses so much that as a heel striker, again, it felt much lower than that. So if you're a heel striker, you're going to feel a little bit lower. The upper is a teeny bit thicker. It's probably got the most volume and a little bit, not stretch, but a little extra room up top. But it does have a somewhat snug fit, especially a little bit taper in the forefoot here. This little band up top, I want to warn you about. Some people are going to get some chafing there. I had no issue, thankfully, and durability has been mostly fine. But it's just got a teeny bit thicker upper, but it's still a lighter weight shoe that's going to do really, really well for those people that want a softer ride and can really pick up the pace, that have normal to maybe slightly narrow width feet and can handle a little bit of tapered forefoot. Outside of that, great shoe. Durability is okay. I'm really tearing up the exposed ZoomX midsole, but the outsole material is handling everything I threw at it fairly well. So softer shoe there. The Pegasus 41 is your standard shoe. This is like of all of these, this is probably the one that you should probably stick with if you're a newer runner, new to running, or have never really experienced the Pegasus lineup before, unless you want a lighter shoe. So really standard fit, fairly normal. Volume is actually lower, even though it actually has a little bit more width. It feels more narrow because the volume sits really low. That does break in as you wear the shoe. Like I notice every time I put this on, as I put it on, I'm like, oh, it's a little bit tapered, but then it opens up. So lower volume, tiny bit more width, but still those who have more narrow feet, normal feet, that's going to be best. Thicker upper, really nice and secure, nothing crazy. It feels like a little bit higher than a 12 millimeter drop, because the heel's actually a little bit stiff. Well, I said these are all neutral shoes. It's got slightly higher sidewalls, which is not normal for the Pegasus. So heel is actually somewhat stable, midfoot forward, fairly neutral. Full zoom, not zoom, Nike React X with some forefoot and some zoom units in the heel and the forefoot. I can't remember if the heel actually. That's really terrible. Somebody call me out in the comments because I can't remember that. But the ride is fairly standard. It's not too soft. It's not too firm. It sits right in the middle. This version has not been super fast. It's been great for daily training miles and maybe a little bit of up-tempo stuff, but it doesn't have the same range that the Pegasus Plus does. So if you want really faster stuff, turbo is going to be better. If you just want a standard shoe that you can get miles on, that's where this is really good. It does have a heel bevel, but like I said, the heel is a little bit stiff, so it can feel just a teeny bit clunky. And those who actually want a higher drop feeling, because the rider, Mizuno Wave Rider, is not going to be that higher drop for long, depending on when you watch this video. And so it gives you a higher drop feeling. So if you like that, that's going to be really good. Lots more cushioning in the heel, albeit really balanced, not too firm, not too soft, like I said, and durability is really, really great. So of the three of these, this is the standard trainer. This is probably the place where most people should start. I know I said that before, but it's really important to pay attention to that. And finally, the craziest one, the Pegasus Premium is really out of this world. I knew about the Premium. I had not tried it. I have 50 miles on my pair, so actually I have the, how many miles is it? I've got 40 on the other two, 50 on this one. This I have really mixed feelings about. I'm really struggling because there are parts of this I like and parts of this I really don't like. So this is a shoe if you want a really high stack, bouncy but firm and insanely stiff ride, this is going to be the shoe for you. It is not a super shoe. Yes, there's a top layer of Zoom X, there's a full Zoom unit in the midsole here, and then a bottom layer of React X. It's not a super shoe. It's really bouncy, but it is so heavy, like I talked about. And that gets really noticeable on long runs when I've gotten kind of gotten into a rhythm. It's not as noticeable as you get used to it, but as soon as you try to pick up the pace, it is very noticeable, I will say immediately. There's a lot to this shoe. The volume is actually, and width is actually a little bit wider. So if you have a wider midfoot, of all three of these shoes, the Pegasus Premium is going to do the best. But if you have any sensitivity to a tapered forefoot, this is going to be the worst of all of them. If you have a narrow forefoot, you don't want a lot of room, it's going to be great. But volume is really low, and this toe guard here really is prominent and really kind of like it locks things in, but it also really forces things together. That does break in, but whenever I move away from this shoe and come back, I'm just like, oh, that forefoot, unless I'm wearing narrow socks, it's not super comfortable. And then it's kind of weird with the slightly wider midfoot fit, which some people have that. And if you want a little wider midfoot, that's where this is going to be unique. I will also say these all have stiff heel counters. This has the stiffest one. So if you like a lot of structure in the rear foot, this is going to be great. In the upper, if you don't, it's going to bug you. It bothered my heel. Not that that's a bad thing. It just know that that's really sensitive for me. My issues with this is, again, the weight, but also if you're going to have a shoe this tall, you need to make sure you have no stability needs because the midfoot is very narrow. It's not as unstable as the Plus because it's so much more firmer and bouncier, but if you have any stability needs, you're going to roll right off this midfoot. When you have taller maximal shoes, generally you want a wider last to be able to offset the inherent instability that comes as you're taller. Now, this is not plated, but this shoe is really stiff in all directions, like especially this direction. And part of that is how much midsole there is, but also there's not really any rockers here. So I actually had foot pain in the forefoot trying to toe off. And yeah, it actually feels good if you're a forefoot striker and you're moving a little bit faster, it feels good. If you're not running as quick, the fact that there's not a major bevel here, it means that with this much heel, like it's got a clunky landing. So when I land, it really pivots me forward as I hit the ground. I'm a heel striker for most of the time. That's just how it goes. This tall, you need to have a bevel. If you don't like bevels, this is a great option. It really accelerates when you land. During initial contact, you'll go down really quick. A lot of load through your anterior tibial, your foot extensor muscles, which some people might be good. Others, if you're sensitive to things like shin splints, stuff like that, this is probably not going to be a good option for you. And then as you toe off, it's very stiff. The forefoot rocker is not very large, so it creates a really stiff ride that as I was going up hills and as this broke in, it just caused a lot of stress on the front of my foot. So that being said, if you actually do well with really stiff rides, if you don't need stability, and if you want a firmer bounce, it's not soft, it's a firmer bounce. It actually, if it was beveled better, I would really like the shoe, and if it was rocker better. But if you want that firmer bounce, a little more room in the midfoot, that's where this shoe might come together for you. It is very durable. Of all three of these, this has the best durability. Outsole it's really handling well. There's just a little bit of initial wear at 50 miles, which is not bad for me. But most durable, firmest ride, and bounciest ride, but there's just some fit things you need to be aware of. I'm really going to suggest that most new runners stay away from this shoe, not just because it's 210 bucks, but because it's really aggressive in many ways that most people aren't going to be ready for. If you want a more standard shoe, just like I'm not going to say run to the mill, but just like a good average running shoe, Pegasus 41 is going to be the best option. And if you just want something lighter, softer, and you don't have any stability needs, that's where the Pegasus Plus is going to come in. It's bouncier, it's going to be a little bit faster because it's lighter, but it's also much softer. That's where that's going to come in. These have very different feels between them. It'd be totally fine if you actually had all three or two. I think most people are going to do better with these two as kind of like a standard trainer and a lighter weight trainer for faster workouts, or as you get used to faster runs. Pegasus Premium, I'm still really trying to learn where this might fit for a little bit of people. I think there's some tweaks that need to happen. I think the first version is definitely interesting. Whether it's appropriate is another story in terms of biomechanically, but I at least appreciate what they've been doing and kind of the unique stuff they're doing with the premium models. And it makes me super excited for the Vivero Premium and most of all, the Structure Premium and the Structure Plus. So I have not tested any of that stuff, so it makes me really excited, so we'll have to see. Hopefully that gives you a little more information on the differences between these and kind of what to look for and what might work for you, what might not, and just some additional thoughts. As always, please comment below. Let me know if you agree or completely disagree with what I'm saying. People are going to have different experiences with this stuff. And as always, hope this helps because I really want to help you figure out what works best for you because I don't want you to get injured and I want you to be able to enjoy your run.